All right, what's up, everyone? We were going to talk about the Barbie movie, I think, originally. And then we got this really interesting video I just shared with Clint. Uh, we'll put it up here on screen. And
I think interesting is the most politically correct adjective you could have come up with in this situation.
yeah, it's not very good. Let me see
it's
here.
not.
Will always deserve to be for rejecting nice guys like me.
So, yeah, if anyone heard that, he's pretty much saying his take is that, okay, nice guys get rejected on a daily basis. And that's a huge problem, especially in the incel community. And it's because these women are essentially they're demons who were sent by someone to make men miserable. And they feel as though that women only go for jerks and they don't give nice guys a chance. But what really, not irked me, it puzzled me. He's like, women should get raped for not being with me, who is a nice guy. That's not something a nice guy says.
No, it's not.
You concur?
Yeah, I mean, that's not how that works at all. And that's what we see that all the time on social media, especially TikTok, which is where that video is from. Where, I mean, these guys, they have these delusions about being this nice, wonderful guy, but then they can turn around and say something like that. And these are the same ones, down the road, they've got the closet full of skeletons.
Yeah,
You find
literal
out they got
skeletons
something going on. Yeah.
I don't know, he's gotten pretty harsh reactions, and I think they're valid. I'm not going to be here saying nobody should be treating him this way. I mean, when you say stuff like that, the majority reaction is probably the appropriate reaction. But there, to solve a problem, like say you have a cancer, right? You can't just take a mallet to the area that's infected with cancer and hit it and think that's going to cure the cancer. You have to have so much knowledge on how to cure it and how to treat it, and then also how to implement it. I think calling them incels, which that's what they are, it's a perfect description, but to use it as a slur or use it as a form of attack, I think it only just like reaffirms their stances. Like when they say women are horrible and then women comment horrible things to them, you're kind of just reaffirming their belief. It's not a correct belief, but it's a belief that's going to be validated.
Yeah, I mean, it's also another one of those terms. I don't think people truly know the origin and what's that word? The etymology of the word, the reasons for its being.
You're right.
It's involuntary, celibacy. That's where incel comes from. And people don't realize that a lot of these same women too are also incels.
Yeah.
This constant arguing back and forth. And so yeah, it gets misused a lot. It's kind of like the word narcissist, or even words like abuse. It's overused in the vernacular today. But yeah, I mean, you're just reaffirming when you continuously attack these people, and he's 100% wrong. That take, he's rightfully being eviscerated online. But yeah, I swear, man, the conversation's gone completely out of control with social media.
It's the the symptom. One of the symptoms is like publicly you can be scrutinized, but physically you're fine. Like I could say, "Hey Clint, I'm going to piss in your gas tank." I can say that to you, and you can't grab me by my collar and say, "What'd you fucking say?" Because I'm here. I'm in the safety of my room. And the comfortability of saying things without an immediate physical reaction. Like the thing between men is like you just don't go up to a random guy at the bar and say, "Hey, your shirt's dumb looking. You look ridiculous." The reason you don't do that is because you might get punched in the face. But if you type it, if you go on his Instagram and say, "Hey, turquoise shirt wearer, you suck. Terrible shirt choice," then you're fine. You can just turn off your phone and then you watch a TV show. Like you're safe. So I think a lot of the opinions that people have it's not. I don't think they're real. It's not something they truly believe, because if you truly believed it, you would say it in front of the people that you want to say it to, and then you would be like, damn the consequences. Like, I don't care if a bunch of women start hitting me with pepper spray and tasers. I believe in what I'm saying. He would never say that in front of a group of girls ever.
Exactly.
So I think a lot of the takes, people don't even really believe in them.
It's interesting that even with being able to show your face and having the camera going, that you would still say these things just because you have, like you said, that safety of this is not me out in public.
Yeah.
I find that very interesting. You see, when the internet was like first, like in its infancy, and I was starting to go online and look at message boards, and then MySpace became a thing and all this stuff.
Oh yeah.
I always assumed that, well, because it's almost completely anonymous, people wouldn't actually behave this way or talk this way.
Mm.
And then we started moving into social media that was more video based, and I was proven wrong. They're still saying these same things, and they don't have a care in the world about it.
It's again, yeah, with the safety. Yeah, you're right. They're not anonymous, so that brings another question into it. Is it psychopathy? Is it being that confident in what you're saying? Do you truly believe in what you're saying? Also, like, what's the intent? Like, what's the point of saying this? I think we talked a little bit before I hit record, but I think he may be a troll, but I'm not 100% sure on that. If he was a troll wanting to be like, haha, look, I'm saying something terrible, it's going to make people mad, he might have done it anonymously. But when you put your face on it,
that's the other thing about trolling too, is they have a limit.
Yeah.
They have a place that they won't go to, and that goes far beyond that limit, because we still live in a world where, you still kind of have a little bit of anonymity, but at the end of the day, if somebody really wants to find you, if you put your face out there, they're going to find you.
Mm-hmm.
There's all kinds of, even on TikTok, there's profiles that are dedicated to, hey, post a random picture somewhere and I'll try to find out where you live.
Oh, it's
people willingly
easy.
do. Oh, hey, look at this,
I think that it's smart to use the lights. I know they look cool, but when you kind of like distort reality, the reality around you, it's kind of harder for people to pinpoint. But there's already I read through the comments on his video. He had over 10,000 comments, I think. I maybe it may have been 3,000 actually. But like people saying like, hey, I have an assault rifle that I haven't got to use yet. He's already getting death threats. Like, are the people wrong for doing that? I don't think so. I think when anyone says like the appropriate punishment for a woman turning me down is rape, I think at that point you've foregone normal rules of how we communicate, and you've invited threats of violence on you. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't threaten him violently unless he like said something personal about a woman in my life. Then I'd go full tilt. But it won't stream, but I will Google, because I want to make sure I have the right definition here. Incel definition. Yeah, a member of the online community of young men who consider themselves unable to attract women sexually, typically associated with views that are hostile towards women and men who are sexually active. So it's this, again, a resentment of they are not receiving physical intimacy. Do you know of Elliot Rogers?
I would just comment on that really quick about the words. That's another word that's been hijacked because that's not the original definition of the word. So that's another one that's been co-opted.
It's been spun, right?
Yeah, but no, I haven't heard that name before.
Elliot Rogers was he's the Jesus Christ of incels. Now I'll explain. He's the one that kind of started, and maybe it was sooner, but it was much under the surface. But he made videos on YouTube about how he felt that he was handsome enough and charismatic enough to have the attention of women sexually, and it wasn't happening for him. And he was complaining about how women are terrible and everything. He ended up like killing a lot of women in a college dorm room, and he ultimately died, I think. But it was this mindset of like he thought he was owed physical intimacy from women, and he took it so beyond the steps of normality that he decided that, oh, ending the lives of these women who did not have sex with me is the appropriate response. So, yeah, incel means voluntarily celibate, involuntarily celibate. But yeah, it's I kind of agree with the definition change, because just for like optics, like if someone calls themselves an incel, it's easy to avoid them because you don't want to be a victim of violence. There are some people who are involuntarily celibate that are just nice people. They just don't have the tools or maybe even necessarily the looks to attract a female mate or a male mate, depending on what they're into.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. I mean, I can see what you're saying though for the optics of it. Then that way, it's easy to try to avoid those people. You're right on that. I just it's another word that's been co-opted and it's being used wrong in a lot of the cases. But you know, before I met Erica, you know, my lovely wife, people who know me, um, I used to have the same, you know, thoughts of despair, like, oh, this is never going to happen for me. I don't know what to do. I can't get their attention. But I never got to that point where I thought this was something that was owed to me.
Mm.
That, you know, you should be doing this for me because I have all these things. I never saw it that way.
Well, it's because you're not a narcissist or a sociopath. You're not a part of the dark triad.
According to people on TikTok, I am, but yeah.
Well, that's just because they're just they don't like the truth. You've really never said anything that I would disagree with necessarily. Have you ever heard of the dark triad?
I have not.
It's three tenets to be a part of the dark triad. It's narcissism, psychopathy, and Machiavellianism. And Machiavellian is kind of like a leech, someone who seeks others' validation or goes after what they have, and tries to gain that just by manipulation, coercion, sometimes intimidation. It's people who really they're self-centered. And I think it's unfair to like say everyone who has not had sex yet or cannot have sex, to label them as villains. I think you are correct about the changing of the definition. I think it's wrong because then you just villainize people who are not having sex. Like that's not the point. It shouldn't be the point to villainize people. I could see myself, because I was a virgin until I was 22. It wasn't because I couldn't. It's because I had a promise to God pretty much when I was very religious. So I was wanting to save myself for my future wife. But I could see like in a world where people put sex on such a high pedestal to the point where if you're not having it, then you're weird. That I've never understood how that makes someone weird, that they don't have physical intimacy.
Yeah, I don't get that either. And it kind of reminds me, there was some horror movie that came out recently. Maybe not recently. It might have been 5 or 6 years now, but I can't remember what it was called. But like, they were shaming people that weren't sexually active, and then when the one finally does, she starts getting followed by some entity, and it keeps possessing other people.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. It Follows.
It Follows. That's it. It Follows. That's what it was called. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like that. It's like this, all this pressure or whatever that people put on you that you have to have these things in order to be normal.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get that at all.
Well, people just think about it so casually. I mean, they think it's in essence a handshake to a lot of people, or kissing, at least making out. Like it's not a big deal. What people don't understand is that there are things that happen to you during sex, chemically, biologically, that affect your brain. And it can change how you view someone. It could change how you view yourself. It can unlock either past memories or thoughts you never had before. And it can when people say I can have meaningless sex and I'm okay, I'm like, no, you can't. No, you fucking can't. You think you can, you pretend you can. You're acting as though if
Right.
you can. But as someone who did the casual sex thing after my divorce, it was gut wrenching. It was gut wrenching that, oh, I'm not probably not going to be in a relationship with this person. And I just like bared my soul naked to someone, and it's probably not going to lead to anything. That sucked really, really bad.
This is why I don't agree with hookup culture. Like, it's okay to go out and have the occasional. Like, I'm not against one night stands,
Right.
but don't make a habit a basically hobby of it that you do on the side besides your normal job or whatever. I mean, don't treat it that way, because we really, as a society, and me being a guy who is all for adult stuff,
Right.
we have devalued sex.
Mm-hmm.
That's really what it all amounts to.
We've devalued it by putting a value on it, where you can make money from it, you can influence people, you can get ahead in life, depending on what sex you are. And I think that's one of the incels, I don't want to use the term incel anymore, because it's not all incels. It's a specific group of people who are incels, but then have this really misogynistic view about women. We'll call them misogynist.
Yeah, that was what I was going to say.
For the
That's
sake
what
of,
I call them.
misogynists who are incels, mod cells or moss cells, whatever. We'll figure out a definition, but we'll just use misogynist. That's one of their things, though, is that they say women have the easiest time receiving sex. And I'm like, yes, that's true. That's absolutely true. That's a true statement to make. But when it's viewed as this, oh, like we should villainize women for it. We should put them down because it's so easy for them. Like, that's something that the world has done. That's a symptom and a type of feeling that the world has created because they've overvalued while devaluing sex. There's
The thing that adds to as well is it adds to that mindset that women have that sex just happens to them, that they're not a 100% willing participant.
right.
We talked about that before.
Yeah, I think I did a whole series on it. Where there's this lack of not responsibility but culpability, where women will interact sexually with someone, or they'll actually just like have full on sex with someone, and then they want to come out later saying, well, he turned out to be a jerk, so was it assault, was it this, was it that? And it's like, no, you're infantilizing yourself. If you consented to the act, then that's what it is. You can't, no takes backsies. After the fact, you can during, but after the fact, you can't be like, oh, I'm changing the whole scope of what happened. Or that it is just happening to them. It's like when a guy, when it's revealed, like, oh, me and him were sexting. Like, look, me and him were talking sexually on the phone, and then it's all pointed at the guy. Like, honey, you were the other person in that conversation. It wasn't just happening to you. You were a party member in this. And that's another thing that these misogynist incels point out. Like, oh, women just, they want to like blame guys, and they just want to like set guys up for failure or get in trouble. It's a weird animal. This is
circular reasoning, because what they don't understand is by having their mindset like that, where they're putting this, for lack of a better term, devalued value on sex, and they kind of make it seem like women owe them this, and that's what they're doing. They're doing the same thing that some of these women are doing. They're removing agency from the woman. They're basically saying she was, no matter what, she has to be a part of this. She had no say in it. Just remove the agency completely. And So it's circular reasoning all the way around, because you can't accept the fact that these women don't want to sleep with you because A, you're not as nice as you think you are.
Right.
B, you don't have the skills to, bring that attraction on. Because for a lot of women, it's mostly the way in which somebody behaves, their emotional maturity and stuff like that, which you're already showing you're not emotionally mature if you have these mindsets about how women owe you sex, and
Right.
if they don't give it to you, they deserve to be assaulted. And it's so, like I said, you're just going around in circles. It's an endless cycle, and that's one of my main issues with the modern man and woman conversation these days.
Yeah, it's that it happens to them, but they're also the perpetrators. One of the things that I have seen that I know, not maybe it's not universally true, but true from what I've seen, is that you don't even have to be that attractive as a man to pull a woman that's either conventionally attractive or extremely attractive. I believe that my partner, she's miles above me in the looks department. I feel like she's doing me a favor sometimes. That she's like, "Aw, poor ginger troll. I'll give you some love. You're a little troll doll. I'll put you on my collection." So it's not even about looks. What it really comes down to, what the misogynist incels don't really understand, is that, dude, it's all about your attitude. It's no woman wants to hear that, oh, you're a terrible person because you're not sleeping with me. That makes women dry as the Sahara. You're not going to win any woman. It's like they think they say that and they're going to meet some woman that says, you know what? Yeah, I agree that I'm terrible. Me as a species, I really shouldn't exist. I should be subservient to you, father. That's what they want, but it's never going to happen unless the woman is completely destroyed mentally and has not had a good life, and may or may not be on drugs. But what they want, they're actively doing the things that will prevent them from getting what they want. It's like this self-harm. It's a form of self-harm, really, having this mindset. It's not always about cutting yourself or drinking a lot or taking a lot of medication to end yourself. Self-harm can be oh, I'm not doing or saying the correct things that would lead me to a positive outcome. And it's this never-ending cycle of perpetual victimhood. It's you're victimized. It's not the women victimizing you. You're the one who's victimizing you. A woman not having sex with you, that's not an action. That's an inaction. They're not doing anything, but you think that's an attack on you. It's
self-destruction has many different forms, and constant victimization of yourself is another form of self-destruction. And they don't get that either. And another thing I want to add to that is that all of these accounts and influencers and people that are making money off of these type of guys. Mm-hmm. Some of them are even women that make money off of guys doing this, and we know who some of them are.
Yeah.
But they don't understand all of these skills and try this. You need to start doing this, and if they start getting attention from women just because they're doing all these arbitrary things that don't really matter, that's not the kind of woman you want to be in a relationship or have any kind of relation with anyway. That's shallow.
Yeah, the cure to incels is not going to, or misogynist incels, the cure is not teaching them how to nag or neg or how to peacock or how to, hey, oh, you're not going to give me a hug? What's that all about? That's not the cure. The cure is, it's literally, okay, know that you're not a victim if someone doesn't have sex with you. If you want that and it's not happening and it upsets you, that's fine. It upsets you. You can actually be angry about it. You could say how angry you are. But the moment it overarches into, oh, I want people to be victims because I'm not getting what I want, that's when it becomes a problem. It's frustrating and sad at the same time because you want to shake them and say, dude, just chill. Just breathe, man. Don't look at it as you're being victimized. A woman doesn't want to sleep with you. Okay, then why would you want to sleep with her then? If she doesn't want to, you think changing her mind will make you feel better? Okay, say theoretically, I'm sorry I'm going on a tangent here. Theoretically, you change a woman's mind about wanting to have sex with you. Are you going to feel good about yourself once you do?
It's never going to reach the point of 100% desire. At the
Yeah.
very most, it's going to be giving in. And who wants to be with that?
I don't see not even the utility. I don't, just me personally, like say if I'm not even thinking about my partner, I'm just thinking about myself. If I felt as though that, oh, the sex that is happening to me right now is because I convinced them, that I sold them on it, I couldn't enjoy it. I'm the type of guy that, like, oh, there has to be, I want you to feel as interested in me as I am in you. Like, I want you to want it as much as I want it. And if I feel like you're just doing me a favor, oh man, well, okay, this sucks now. I don't feel good about it anymore. So, like, if they're thinking about it, if they would think about it this way, maybe it would change their mindset on it just a little bit. But when it's ingrained in your head that women are evil, I don't know if there's a way to, like, unless you do some sort of therapy where they're around women who are caretakers or that are mothers, and they show like, hey, women are not these evil creatures that you read about on 4chan. Like they're humans and they have the same feelings and the ability to feel things as you. And they don't look at them as human. They're a different species. They might as well be a different species to misogynist incels.
That's why I laugh at that statistic I see all the time. I'm sure you've seen it too, because we spend a lot of time in the same spaces. But they always say, women who, they're not attracted to, what's the number? I think they say 80-20. 20% of men are attracted to 80% of women, and they try to say that the other 80% of men that they don't find attractive, they don't see as human. Then they'll turn around and here's how we fix this, and they talk. Well, you don't see these women as human. The way this advice that you're giving, how is this constructive?
Yeah, the 80% of women go after 20% of men. But that's okay. If we're going to look at it as that, how is that inherently evil or wrong? If there are 80% of women going after the 20% of men who have good jobs, they look good, they're 6 foot tall, their PP looks like a Pringles can, full of testosterone, can flip tanks, right? If that's what women like, don't hate women, hate biology, hate how we were programmed. I mean, that's just how it's been.
Not true.
It's not true. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not universally true, but if that's their mindset and they believe it to be true, then okay, where do you point the blame? Because it can't be on the women, because you can't control biology and attractiveness in biology. Like, it's not like an active choice. If that was true, it's not. It couldn't be an active choice. It could be, but a lot of our active choices are made by subconscious thoughts that we're not even aware of that we have. Like, I don't know why I'm attracted to women. I don't know. Like, I know that I like what I see. I know I like how I feel around my partner, and but I don't know why I'm attracted to the things I am. It's this something that was programmed in me, and I wasn't groomed to think this way. It was just something that happened naturally. I always liked girls. I always liked, the female anatomy growing up. So it's not even just physical. It could be just like how they act, how they talk, how they sound, how they dress. Like, those other things could be contributing factors to why I'm a straight man. And it's the same for women who may like guys who do have better jobs, or they have a good personality. It could be the same thing, this biological intrinsic thing that they can't even explain.
Yeah,
Why get mad at
we
them?
like things that are inherently feminine, so it would make sense they like things that are inherently masculine, and that's just the way it is. But they'll even have these guys saying the 80-20 statistic. They'll even have women in their comment section. Let's just go ahead and call it at least 8s, 9s, and 10s. And right under that, guys will be commenting, well, this is coming from a 2. Yeah, you don't agree. Come on, guy. You would drop everything a chance to be with this woman. Come on now.
No, like they're like, you're not that great. You probably have mid-tier downstairs. Bro, do you think that's gonna help? Maybe he doesn't want to sleep with her. Maybe he doesn't care about that. But if you think a woman is just gonna respond like, oh yeah, you're right. Yes, I concur.
Yeah.
You're not gonna change their minds. Like, if you want women, say if your view of women is that they are just sneaking, conniving, they only want the best of the best, and they won't give any good guys a chance ever. Let's say if that was a real reality, you're not going to change their mind by insulting them. You're going to reaffirm, like, oh yeah, I need to be with this Giga Chad guy. I'll never give a good guy a chance, because then look what you're showing me. You're saying you're a nice guy, but you're actually kind of a piece of shit. No,
exactly.
You could say, okay, there's benefits. I may not be attractive, but here's the benefits of me. I like animals. I'm really good with children. I'm very responsible. I show up on time to work, and I get a decent paycheck. I'm good at managing bills and grocery funds, and I like art. I like Mozart. I like painting. Like, there's so many things that a woman could say. Well, yeah, you do look like Smeagol, but you're interesting. You tickle my brain. There's beautiful women with, I don't want to say ugly men because that's rude, right? Because I don't necessarily think anyone is ugly, conventionally unattractive. Like they're not conventionally attractive, let's say. But there's guys who are not conventionally attractive who are with bombshells. And it's not because they're rich. There are women, I think women value personality more than looks. I think us as men, maybe not us, but who put looks, that's their top notch. Like I think my partner's beautiful, but most men put beauty as the top main thing. Everything else really doesn't even matter. Like, that's their main goal. I want a hot woman that meets my criteria of what I want physically.
See, I've always been the kind of person that, to me, it's like, a lot of this stuff, because I've also seen the opposite. I've seen guys with women that, you're like, you think in the back of your head, the lizard part of your brain, you're like, what in the world happened here, right? A lot of this stuff, there is another account that I follow on TikTok, and I don't agree with, like, I'd say at least 70% of what she says, but I follow people that I don't necessarily agree with.
Same.
And I can't remember her name, how to pronounce it. It's like Demi something. And she's wears a ton of makeup on her videos and stuff. Anyway, I was even commenting on one of her posts. It's like, I feel like a lot of this stuff that goes on is happening in these very metropolitan areas.
Mm-hmm.
It's very, money first before anything else, humans second. It's that culture. But see, now some hillbilly from Kentucky can start talking about these things because we got social media now. And I'm like, looking at all this, I'm thinking, this stuff does not go on where I live.
Yeah, it's very location based.
Yeah, like, everybody that I know is coupled up. I literally don't know anybody who is like perpetually alone and has nobody and is depressed all the time and is an incel. Like, I don't know anybody like that.
Well, it was the same in my hometown. Like, this wasn't an issue, but it has become an issue since the introduction of the internet and the ability to see other people's lives and how better they are than you. It's not technically better than you, but better off than you, like money wise. Like, there's women who are in podunk, like hillbilly towns, that see women on yachts, and they're like, if I could be part of your world. And then now their goals is not being a mother, going to college, getting a career. Now it's like, okay, what's the quickest way to me to be on that yacht? So it's actually fucked up rural areas, seeing how metropolitan people are. And now it's just an infection. It's like some types of lives are not meant for you. Like, sometimes you have to accept your lot in life. You don't have to if it's bad. You can change it if you make the right decisions. But it's pretty much okay. Circling back to the like misogynist incels thing, like they're seeing a world that they want to be a part of, but they don't want to sacrifice their voice just to meet the princess of their dreams, and they have legs, the ability to move around. They don't want to give up certain things because they're like, I shouldn't have to change. Well, yeah, buddy, you have to change if what you're doing currently is not working. It's the definition of insanity to continue doing the same things and think, oh, someone's going to accept this. It's going to change.
That's one of my criticisms of a movement like Passport Bros, and I get a lot of hate for this, and I'm probably going to get some more for saying these next things. But
say it.
They're doing the same thing they're doing in America somewhere else.
Right.
And the thing is, there's that exotic feeling for somebody to begin dating or possibly marry someone who is from another country. So, yes, when you go over there, you're going to get some more attention. Mm. But the reality is, you're going to have a lot of the same results. A lot of these guys don't understand that. You also have the different cultures you got to deal with.
Extremely different cultures.
This stuff, and then these guys, because like you say, social media, we get to look into other people's lives. They see a few people have success, and they go over and try to do this, but then realize, well, all these things that I think is, oh, well, this is just Western women. Oh, it's everywhere because they are human beings who have thoughts and feelings and emotions and standards, and you can't handle that.
Yeah, they think, oh, I'm going to go to Japan and get a subservient waifu. Okay, buddy, go ahead. See what happens when you bring them back here and they are introduced to different cultures and different sort of freedom. Like you can't shield them from ever going on the internet and seeing how other women are living. Like I was told, it's like, buddy, you would do really good in Mexico. Like if you're looking for a wife, you should go to Mexico. They love ginger, short white boys there. They love them. And I was like, well, sure, cool, but I don't want to have to go out of my living area to a different country and have to get a girl that way. Like, yeah, I could, maybe, but I don't see the necessity in it. It's not because I'm anti, like, meeting someone from Mexico. It just didn't end up that way. But there is an intent with the Passport Bros. They want a woman that is subservient. They want to go to a culture where women are they don't have the freedom or the right to express themselves the way they want to, the way American women do, or women in the West. And it does come off as kind of like, that's creepy, man. That's seems like you want a slave. You're hoping that you find a woman that never challenges you, that just accepts you the way you are and allows you to disrespect them. That's the vibe I get from Passport Bros. That may not be all of them.
Yeah, you would think with their dude brain and the way that they think, that to them it would be more meaningful if they conquered a Western woman instead of going somewhere where they're on easy mode.
Yeah. I mean, well, that's the other thing I don't understand too. Like, I don't want to be with somebody who just agrees with me all the time, that does only what I want to do. Like that seems boring to me. Me and my partner, we don't argue. We don't like have screaming matches, but I'll say something and my partner will be like, that's weird that you think that. Why do you think that? What brought you to that? And I'll explain myself and they'll give me a retort. And then more often than not, I'm like, yeah, I don't know why I think that. I don't know why I think that's a universal truth. I'm going to think about this. I'm going to rethink my position on this certain issue. And oftentimes my mind gets changed a lot. I'm like, I'm becoming a better person. It's the same. It's back and forth with us. So I don't understand why any man, I mean, I understand why, but it doesn't make sense to me why you'd want someone who is subservient all the time. Like, then what's the point? I would get bored with that very easily. Like a yes daddy? No. That, like, tell me no sometimes. Challenge me. You know?
To me, that's not, real masculine if you gotta, I don't know, man. It's Just like with the conversation we had earlier, their reasoning is circular.
Mm.
It makes no sense. And
well, anything worth doing or being a part of is going to have some difficulty. And that's the same problem with the incel bros, or the misogynist incels. They want everything without effort. They think that a woman should just want to constantly be on top of me. Like, it's dumb for them not to want to be with me. Like, why should I have to do anything? It's the same thing, but two different results. Like, because one, they go and they find a foreign woman, or they just find a woman that's subservient. But the other guy is like doing the same thing, but with no action to like actually try to achieve a goal of being sexual with a woman. It's the same mindset, but it's. I would. I mean, you technically can't call them incels because they're actually having sex, but it's an incel mindset, the modernization incel.
That's why when, if I see, we're kind of focusing on men right now, but that's the same thing like when I have a topic about women. Women get on there and they say the things they do to me, like, you're doing the same thing that they are. And they don't see that. The same goes for within the gender, the same thing applies. Like you just said, it's the same mentality the incels have. How are you any different?
Yeah,
is that women are not people when you talk this way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's the fem cells. It's same mindset, but what's different with them is that they can get away with it more often than not. There are men who are willing to, in order to receive sexual gratification, they will put up with a woman who does nothing in the relationship, just exists, doesn't really participate. I was a part of a relationship like that. I was in my first marriage. I wanted a partner so bad that I was like, oh, well, I'm not going to find this again. So I put up with a lot of stuff. But you can't call them really incels because they're more likely than not like receiving sex. But it's the mindset. You are right about that. It's the I shouldn't have to do anything. I shouldn't have to change. I shouldn't have to put up with challenges. Accept me for who I am. That's the salient point. Accept me for who I am. Why? Give me a good reason.
This is the participation trophy generation. It's so, I'm owed these things. I should already be receiving these things because I'm me and for no other reason.
I am perfect from birth. There is nothing that I could add that would make me any better than what I am. So what's the point? Accept me. No, that's not a good thing. None of us are we're not the best version of ourselves. No one is. That can't happen. It just with time, just how time works. You may be in a better position in life, like maybe your parents are wealthy and they set you up for success. But even then, like no amount of money or notoriety that you have amongst people, that doesn't make you better. It doesn't progress you. I think actually the only way to like full enlightenment is ignoring the external social things that we prioritize, and you actually say, hey, I abandon that. I'm going to look within my soul. I'm going to find out what I am just by just working on myself and not expecting other people just to accept me. It's like, how can I be not only fulfilling in my own life, but how can I expand that to maybe make other people's lives better? That's the definition of like a purpose and a meaning for your life. It's not just about you. And it is this selfish mindset that's creating like, oh, I should be able, woman should just go down on me. Why should I be nice to them? Like I'm owed that. It's the overbearing mother syndrome is where a mother who's like, oh, my baby's perfect no matter what he does. He can never do no wrong. He can murder 1,000 people and I'd still love my baby boy. It's that societal problem. I think that's creating this mindset amongst people.
It's a paradox too, because this self-aggrandizing attitude that everybody has, that believe that they are owed everything in existence, is actually a form of self-destruction and self-hate.
Mhm.
Internally, they don't like themselves. They don't know what to do to fix themselves. They don't know where to go. They don't have guidance, and that kind of goes back to, the families being broken up.
Mhm.
Nobody has
Right.
guidance anymore, and so yeah, you're projecting this self-aggrandizing narcissist type person who is owed everything. Internally, the reason why you have these thoughts and that you perpetuate these behaviors is because you actually hate yourself. And this is your way of self-destruction, because those attitudes are going to get you nowhere but on the road to hell.
It's an express lane. Like you don't even need to pay a toll. Like it gets you straight there.
We're not
Uh,
even talking theology here. We just mean hell in the general sense of you will be in hell. Your life is meaningless, and that's what hell is devoid of meaning. And like you say, if you don't have the right attitude and willing to look inward, you're not ever going to have that fulfilling life.
it's again, it's actually, this is one of the main contributors. Is being able to do this, say something, and it glorifies you, because usually we only saw like actors or politicians, news anchors. We saw them on a screen projected to us. Now we can put ourselves on that same kind of screen and think, oh, well, I'm seeing something where when I saw it as a kid, it was a validating thing for a person to have that. Now we have instant validation because we can literally, like what we're doing right now, we can project our minds and our thoughts and our faces, our personalities in a video format, and that causes ego as well. This self-serving, oh, I'm owed this. I'm valid. I'm the most validated person. I have a camera phone. I can espouse my rhetoric on a social media website, and that makes me important somehow. Um, and like that video that we just watched, he probably had like, oh, I'm on video and people are going to see this. So that means what I'm saying is valid. And they don't separate like, or is it valid? Or are you just saying something really terrible, but you being on camera makes you think it's okay?
You kind of
You
have to
know?
have the mindset that, you're just expressing yourself, and it's not that you're this important, because we're no longer in that age anymore. Everybody has a way to project themselves online. And I've uploaded plenty of stuff. So I know this is garbage, but I'm going to upload it anyway just to see what happens. Like, I don't
Yeah.
have this grand opinion of my videos. Like, I know this is trash. Click.
No,
Like,
I've done it too early on. I mean, I started doing like stuff on YouTube when I was 17. That channel no longer exists, but I didn't say anything terrible, but I just spoke nonsense. It was like a huge waste of time. Um, but I thought, okay, that validated me. That made me. Oh, I have 1,000 subscribers. Like, so anything I say will be validated somehow. Like, oh, people who are disagreeing with me, they're just haters. I don't need to listen to that. They make me feel bad. So ignore that completely. I think that's a problem with incels as well. They don't want to hear the thing that makes them feel bad. Like the truth is, yeah, probably, dude, you're fucking up. You're not doing the best you could in life. You're not showering on a daily basis. You're not wearing proper clothing that looks fitting on you. You don't do anything except spend your time just gratifying yourself, whether it's with porn or video games or movies. You don't do anything to go meet other people and learn how to interact with those around you. That's wrong. Like if you want a better life for yourself, you have to learn how to do those things or you're going to stay stuck. And they're like, no, you made me feel bad and guilty. And they turn away from you.
it's comfort in discomfort is
Yeah.
the road to happiness, and that could take many different forms. For example, for me, like beginning when I got into the fitness stuff, it's learning to be comfortable being uncomfortable, because it's going to hurt, but I'm improving myself.
Right.
Now we're doing this, like I'm trying to learn how to record and edit and all that and have YouTube videos. I'm uncomfortable because I don't know how to do these things. You got to challenge yourself. And the same goes for the dating world and meeting people. You have to be willing to accept that this is going to be a challenge. You have to work on yourself. You have to work on your approach. But they're not willing to do that. They feel like they're just owed everything. And I don't have to work for anything.
Yeah, it's well, again, with the TikTok example, or like being able to record yourself. Like, the reason I did TikTok so much and I didn't ever work on my YouTube ever is because TikTok was so easy. Like, literally, I'm holding the computer in my hand, I'm recording, I say it, then I post it, and there's no details. Like, but with this, what I'm doing, I have to use OBS. We're using Discord. I had to set up my room. I had to set up my microphone. I'm gonna have to edit this, and not really edit it, but like compact it into a file that I can upload to the YouTube website and wait for it to download. It's a process. It's not an instant, quick like thing. This is, I mean, what we're doing is really not that hard, but it's more difficult than just like going to your phone, making a little TikTok, and then it's so easy. And I think that's why there's so many dog shit opinions on there. Because if you had to actually put effort into what you're saying, not that saying that everyone on TikTok is saying something terrible or garbage, but it is the majority. But if you actually had to put effort, like you had to set up cameras and you had to set up like so many things to say something publicly on the internet, you'd probably want to be more clear and concise with what you say. You'd probably be a bit more careful because of the effort that you're putting in.
You have to think about what you're saying over and over and over again, and likely will have to hear yourself over and over again until you get it the way you want to, and then you hit post, right? But
Right.
TikTok, you don't. I mean, yeah, obviously there's the preview and all that, and you do whatever you want to your video to make it cool or whatever. But at the end of the day, it's like you say, you hit record, hit stop, hit post, and now I'm sure you've seen where TikTok has this new feature where when you have notifications, you don't even have to go back to your video. You can respond to whatever that notification is right there on the bar.
Right.
So now, like, I don't even have to revisit my video to hear myself again. You can pause it, but like, I don't have to do that again, and I don't self-reflect and think, well, maybe I did say that a little shitty.
Yeah, like I've that one video that shall not be mentioned. I apologize enough for that. Like I should have, I broke my rule. I always leave things in drafts, or I record it multiple times. I'll listen to it and be like, well, you might want to say a different word, or you might want to have a different tone, because the way it's probably going to be received optically is not going to be received very well. So, and when I break my rule, when I don't think about what I'm saying, I put my fucking foot in my mouth. And I think that kid that we watched, I think he just recorded something because it felt good to say. It probably felt really good for him to say, yeah, women should get assaulted for not wanting to be with a good guy. Like, that's what they get. They choose jerks. Like, that probably feels very good to say. He probably had an endorphin rush from it. But just because something feels good to say or do doesn't mean it is. Like, it can't be measured that way.
No, it can't. And I don't know that people like that will ever learn that. I don't know if we're just kind of wasting our time or what, but I'm sure some people, they watch us and they think to themselves, man, these guys are so full of themselves.
Yeah.
Why do they how are they thinking they're better than everybody? And so, well, we're happy. We,
Not only happy, I think me and you are quite aware that we could have become that, and that we are susceptible to corruption. We know that. If you're not aware that you can be corrupted, then you will most likely be corrupted.
Yeah, exactly. And I even mentioned before that when I was younger, before I met her, I had all those thoughts like that self-hate, that being depressed and being down on myself, but I never reached that point. I might have if I had been born later. Like, say I'm a teenager now. Right. Oh, it's awful. And that's most of the reason why I've started doing this. And I hope that when I start my YouTube channels, I'm going to have two different ones. One's going to be about gaming and fitness. The other one's going to be about this stuff we're talking about here. I'm hoping that younger, especially men, will find my videos. And yeah, I'm not trying to say I'm like the smartest person on the planet or I have it all figured out, but clearly I did something right. And I'm just trying to help though, because I mean, these kids, that's all they're seeing is the junk.
Yeah.
They're not seeing anything of any value. It's all junk. It's bullshit, and they don't see anything else.
It's also, what's the best way to describe it? My message from a long time ago was that I put sex on such a high priority. It was like if I didn't have it, then I was doing something wrong. That there was something wrong with me. If my partner didn't want to be intimate with me, I was ugly, or that they just didn't like me anymore. I put so much stock in physical intimacy, where if I could say something to the incel community, it would be like, dude, if you have it, it doesn't change anything. You got to do something with someone, but it doesn't, like, you're not going to digivolve. You're not going to turn into a Super Saiyan. You're not going to reach this next echelon of human existence. You just did an action that, yeah, most people do, but just because you're not doing it, that doesn't necessarily mean you're bad or weird. Maybe it's just not the time. Maybe you haven't met the right person. Maybe you need to change some things about yourself. Maybe you smell like dog
Yeah.
shit. Maybe you need to shower. You know?
You're not going to suddenly gas up and get all super beefy and your muscles rip your shirt open and your dick stretches out to 10 inches long. And like none of that stuff's
Yeah.
going to happen.
I mean, I wish.
And for most people, the first time with anyone, it doesn't matter if it's your first time. First time with anyone is always bad. It's another reason why hookup culture is stupid. Is like you don't realize you're having lousy sex.
It only gets better with the same person once you learn each other. That's what
Exactly.
I've discovered. And also it's like, again, it's like I'm noticeably less young looking than I was when I first had sex. So arguably I don't look as good. It didn't make me look better. It didn't it only and the only thing it made me want to do more, it didn't make me want to like become a better person or get a better job. It's like, oh, I want to do that again. Like that's all it made me want to do. Is like, oh, I definitely want to have that again. It didn't change me. It didn't make me better or worse. When I prioritized it as the main thing that mattered, yeah, it made me kind of worse. But just from a guy that's been through the ringer in that kind of aspect, like it's not the most important thing. I can go without it for a long time now. Like I used to, I wanted it every single day. If I go without it for a week or two, oh, okay, fine. Like that gives me more time to play a video game or something. It's inconsequential to me now. Like I want that. I definitely want to connect with my partner that way. But if there's some reason that we can't, I'm not gonna like. I'm not gonna throw a hissy.
And people have different, levels of sex drive too. Just like, even within a relationship, you can have different sex drives. Like mine is always going to be a lot higher than my wife's. That's just the way it is. We found ways to deal with that. It's not the end of the world. And, a lot of these guys that we're talking about, these misogynist incels, we need to come up with a word for them, misogicels or something. They understand that, you're also not going to be feeling this way forever.
Mm.
This stuff has a shelf life. If you don't get your act together now, it's kind of like they always talk about, well, women are going to hit the wall when they hit 30. Men have a wall too.
Mm.
We all have a wall. It's called time.
Yeah. And sometimes even before the time is up, you can hit that wall.
Like what if you have an accident? What if you're in a really bad car wreck and you've paralyzed yourself?
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the reasons why I got into giving this type of advice and trying to have these type of videos is because I don't want to call them opportunities because I don't like it. There were a few times in my past where I had to be at nursing homes and I had to be at assisted living homes because I either had family that worked in them or I had a family member in one.
Right.
Spent a lot of time in my childhood around that kind of stuff. And my mother, for example, she used to work at a hospital. That's all that they did. They took care of like people with dementia and Alzheimer's and all this stuff, and they were just disabled. Essentially, they couldn't do day-to-day tasks. And the amount of people that were in these positions that did not have a spouse, they didn't have the family there. And the difference in unhappiness and depression that you could feel from that person versus someone down the hall, even if their whole family was gone, there's a difference.
Mm-hmm.
They still had that. And I don't want people to be in that position. They start aging out, they start getting older, and they don't have anyone there, because that, you think you're depressed now because you're not getting laid. Wait till you get to that point, because you refuse to change, you refuse to work on yourself, you refuse to get the skills necessary to even have that to begin with, and you are going to be a miserable wreck when you're older. And even if things fall apart, like I said, even the ones that they lost their family, like say you lost your original marriage or whatever, and you never found anyone again, you still had that. You can still look back and say, you know, I did what I could. Right now, you can't. And that's what I try to tell people.
It's the overwhelming sense of urgency, which some people even reject that. Like everything that you just said, someone could respond to it, well, I don't want to, you know, be tied down just because I'm afraid of being lonely. Well, okay, that's fine. But at the same time, regardless of how it makes you feel and that you don't want to, if depending on what you want in your life, you have to. There is no choice. I mean, you have the choice not to, but then you don't have the choice if you want to avoid the crippling depression that you could face once you're older and you can't do much anymore. There is a shelf life of who you are and how useful you will be to the world. And there's going to be a day when you're not useful, but if you did the right things, you'll have a family that you can depend on and lean on. And I think that's the salient point with the incel problem, is that they have no meaning, they have no purpose, and if they just committed themselves to something difficult, whether it be, you know, getting a job or going to the gym or helping people who are in need, giving them some sort of meaning, it would be the first step into getting the things that you want in life. But again, they feel like they don't have to. This has been a very interesting conversation. I'm pretty sure we're going to talk about this again one day. I need to get ready for a movie night with my girls. But I love always talking to you, man. I've talked to a lot of people. I've done a lot of like podcast type shows and had debates with people on Discord servers. Like, conversations with you are always like enlightening. I feel like I learn something every single time.
Oh, I appreciate that. I feel the same, man. I'm always free for the most part, so just let me know and we can do this again.
Well, I'm off for the whole entire week, so if we want to do another, maybe we can take a break from the dismal, and then we could like talk about something fun.
Something fun, yeah, that's happy. Yeah,
something fun for sure. All right, well, this has been the Don't Panic Show. If you're panicking, you'll be all right. Just don't worry about it too much. Clint, what is your YouTube and TikTok?
Well, I don't have the YouTube up yet, but I'm still Redwolf 92515 on TikTok.
Okay. When you make your channel, I'll make sure I put it on my channel, and so people can find it, and I'll always support you. But that's been it, and you guys have a good one. Peace out.